Hello and welcome to the Wendell Effect for the Equity Index Futures. My name is Brandon Wendell and I'll be your guide. Before we get started though, I just need to remind you we are not broker dealers or investment advisors. We're going to look at this information from an educational standpoint only, not selling advice or holding particular securities, giving personalized recommendations. All markets do involve risk of loss, past performance, no indication of future results, and yada, 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 all the good stuff. Now, we're also not subject to trading restrictions, so we can have a position in a security and initiate one at a time. Stay in touch with me. You can email me brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Twitter. I tweet on a regular basis pretty much every day. @TraderBW is my handle there. Keep an eye out. There's a lot of duplicates and people pretending to be me, but there's only one me with the blue check mark. And also search for the Wendell Effect on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Helps us out. The little thumbs up. That way we know you like the videos and things that are going on. You can also get notifications to let you know when new stuff is coming out as well. So jumping right into the equity markets for the week of July 2nd, we do have a holiday shortened week. We will have the markets closed on Tuesday, the 4th of July. So happy Independence Day. Anyway, looking at the ES continuous, pretty bullish, but we're getting a little bit of weakness here. Maybe a divergence starting to form as we're trying to get some new highs as of last week. We're at a projection where we basically duplicated our previous impulse and therefore could see a little pullback this week. Overall, we're pretty strong, though, on the daily, but the biggest problem, as you can see, is we're hitting that overlap of two projections. The big impulse and correction that we saw on the daily and the weekly, and on our daily, we've repeated the previous impulse. So we're in for a little bit of a pullback. Maybe this is a double top starting to form. Keep an eye out for that. You know, the reason why I'm worried is right here, we have almost the exact same high in price, but not on the indicator. That could become a possible divergence. So I've switched over to my live charts here, and I just want to kind of go over this in a little more detail. You can see that with Sunday, the markets have reopened, but again, we have this problem where prices are trying to make new highs. We're doing it on a lot less momentum. That usually leads to a pullback. So what is possible, I'm not saying it is going to happen, but what seems to be possible right now is that we may be forming the second peak of a double top. So if we start to see some weakness, could pull back this week. And if that becomes the double top, typically the height of the second peak duplicated on the breakdown becomes your target on the downside. So we may get something like this, and we'll have to see if this is visible on the other markets because the S&P is not the leader right now. Okay, so we'll see what's possible for if this becomes a double top. And again, we're getting that weakness starting. So if we get a Monday candle and then break down on Tuesday below Monday's low, that could be a possible signal for that entry on the double top. So moving along here, going down to the 4-hour time frame, it still looks pretty bullish, but again, we should have a lot more momentum as we're breaking some new highs. You saw it started to get a little weak on Friday at the first projection of 61.8. We could push a little bit higher if we do pick up with more momentum. But as of right now, that momentum looks a little weak. Speaking of leadership, you can see that right now for the month of June, when we started rallying again, the Russell is actually the leader. So we're going to want to see what the Russell is doing. If the Russell takes us higher, the small caps will take everything higher. If not, then we might run into some issues on that ES, and that double top could follow through. So looking first at the NASDAQ, on the weekly chart, again, running into a little bit of weekly supply. The second time, we ran into it, pulled back, making another run, and we're still pretty strong, but not as strong as we should be. We've also hit a couple of projection targets as well. So we may get a little pullback. Here's your double top again on the NASDAQ, lower high. Although, again, we just opened up, so let's take a look. NQU 2023 on the daily chart, and same thing. You can see, yep, we have possible double top forming right now with that really weak momentum. So keep an eye out for that. So if we do get that pullback, we might pull back either to the demand zone on the daily, or if the double top follows through, we could go as low as about 14,000 on the downside. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we really don't have anything holding us up except for that same 14,800 as a possible downside target as we're coming off of these prior highs right now. So again, if I go to my live chart here, 240, I got rid of that zone. So let me just take a look again. You see it right there. And yeah, we're starting to roll over as we're coming into the prior highs. So it could be a follow through to the downside this week, a little bit of a pullback. The Dow is not a whole lot of help. This weekly chart is just consolidating into a triangle right now. It's crazy. So again, we got consolidation. It should break one way or the other, but I just don't know. And it's not the leader, so it's going to follow what the other markets do, primarily what the Russell does, but maybe to the Nasdaq to a certain extent. Again, the daily chart, same problem, making the highs, but weakness. So if we do break out to the upside, overhead target 35,000, basically 35,712 eventually. But if we do break to the downside, which is a little more likely, we might get a first bounce at 33,672. Ultimately moving down to this demand at about 33,000. And on the 4-hour, we do have a little bit of demand at 34,360 right there that we rallied up from. Let's see. It doesn't show anywhere else, really. It's right there on the daily. But yeah, I might get a little pause on the way down, ultimately down to that 33,434, because we do have overhead supply at 34,737. We have plenty of momentum to break through the supply, but without the support of the leading markets, again, the Russell and the Nasdaq, then we're not likely to go higher. And here's why we're seeing weakness on the Russell. On the weekly chart, that's actually drawn in the wrong time frame, but you can see there's drop, base, drop, supply right there. So we came into supply, and we do not have the momentum needed to get above it. Let me get back over to that live chart here. Weekly. And clean this up for a moment. There we go. This is what I'm talking about right here. That is an area of supply that when we hit, again, this was one of the strong markets that you saw for the month of June. It ran right into some supply here and may start to roll over. The good news is we haven't pulled back yet. And usually the longer you stay in an area going sideways, the more likely you are to continue the trend. But we are seeing cracks in the armor, if you will, and some weakness coming in. So looking here on the daily chart, I don't even have the daily chart here. So let's go to the daily chart. That was interesting. I thought I did. And I'll bring back the lines here for a moment. There we go. Go to the daily time frame. For some reason, I didn't capture that. You can see this was actually a supply zone on the daily that was tested and broken, pulled back to demand, tried to rally through that supply again, but notice what happened. We're not getting the momentum needed to break above. That's a very bearish candle right now on this daily. So just focusing on what's happening there, if we break the low of that candle, that's kind of confirming this double top that we're seeing here. And we may get a nice move down to take us to the 1795 this week. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out on that 1895.9. If we get a close below that on the daily time frame, expect prices to take us at least to 1840 by the end of the week, if not lower. So keep an eye out for that on the Russell. And here it is on the 4-hour time frame. You saw there was a bunch of weakness coming in. Even though that we were strong in momentum, price didn't like this area. It was being rejected from it. So if we go to the current 4-hour time frame chart, you can still see that weakness there. We just opened up with this candle now, and we're confirming with the topping tail that there is a lot of selling pressure there. So that's what I got for the equity markets for this week. If you got any questions, feel free to message me at brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at TraderBDub, and I do tweet pretty much every day on the equity index futures. Also, you can find me on the YouTube with the Wendell Effect search. And please, if you could hit like and subscribe, I appreciate that. And get the alerts as well to let you know when new videos are out. So that has been the Wendell Effect for this week. If you got any questions, as I said, let me know. If not, trade safe, trade well, and thank you for your time.